Some people don't just tolerate chaos, they come to rely on it. And if you're honest, there are moments when you might recognize that in yourself. You say you want peace. You tell yourself you're done with the drama, but somehow your life keeps circling back to the same patterns, the same arguments, the same unstable dynamics, the same emotional highs and crashes that leave you drained, yet strangely engaged. At some point, a quieter question starts to surface. Why does this keep happening? Because it's not just bad luck. It's a pattern. And patterns don't repeat unless something in you keeps opening the door. No one decides to become attached to chaos. It doesn't arrive loudly. It builds in the background, slowly. It hides inside things that don't look dangerous at first glance. Intensity feels like passion. Uncertainty feels like attraction. Emotional swings feel like connection. And over time, those signals blur. Your mind isn't only reacting to life, it's learning how life is supposed to feel. The tone of relationships, the rhythm of connection, the emotional climate you're used to. If that climate was unstable, if connection came with tension, unpredictability, sudden shifts, then calm doesn't just feel new. It can feel suspicious. Not clearly wrong, just unfamiliar in a way that unsettles you, like something is missing, or like something is about to break. Because for many people, the mind doesn't chase what's healthy. It chases what it recognizes. And sometimes, it recognizes chaos. Think about what that does over time. Growing up around unpredictability, learning to read between the lines, adjusting quickly just to stay balanced. Your system adapts. It learns to expect change, to prepare for tension, to stay ready. So when life becomes steady, predictable, calm, relaxation doesn't come naturally. Sometimes restlessness takes its place. The silence feels loaded. The calm feels temporary. So without noticing, you start looking for cracks. You read too deeply into a message. You question a small shift in tone. You reopen something that could have stayed closed, not because you want conflict, but because your system is trying to make the moment feel familiar, and chaos is familiar. So when it returns, there's relief, not because it's good, but because it fits. That argument you didn't need to escalate, it sharpens your focus. That unpredictable person you can't quite read, they pull you in harder than stability ever did. Those emotional highs and lows, they create movement, intensity, a sense of being inside something. And sometimes intensity gets mistaken for meaning. You see this most clearly in relationships. You meet someone consistent, grounded, reliable. They show up, they communicate, they don't leave you guessing. And instead of feeling safe, something feels flat. You wonder if something's missing, if it's too easy, too predictable. But then someone else enters your life, more intense, less clear, warm one moment, distant the next. And suddenly, your attention locks in. You replay conversations, you analyze silence, you wait for their attention like it carries more weight than it should. It feels magnetic. But often it's not chemistry, it's recognition. Your system seeing something familiar and calling it attraction. So you stay longer than you should. You explain away things you once said you wouldn't accept. Because walking away doesn't just mean losing them, it means losing the intensity. And sometimes, that feels like losing something real. Over time, this becomes a loop. Tension builds, something triggers it. There's conflict, then relief, then quiet, then tension again. And even when you're tired of it, part of you knows how to move inside that loop. It's chaotic, but it's known. And what's known can feel safer than what's healthy. But this doesn't stop at relationships. It starts shaping how you see yourself. Spend enough time in chaos, and it begins to feel like identity. You tell yourself you're just intense, that your life is naturally complicated, that you feel things deeply. And maybe that's partly true. But sometimes, those labels protect the pattern more than they explain it. Because underneath them, there's something quieter. Stillness feels unfamiliar. And unfamiliar can feel uncomfortable. Because when there's no chaos, there's space. And in that space, things rise up. Thoughts you've avoided, feelings you've pushed aside, questions you don't have clear answers to. Chaos fills that space. It gives you something immediate to focus on, so you don't have to sit with what's underneath. And without it, the silence can feel heavy, not peaceful, exposing. So you reach for something, not always on purpose, but through patterns you've learned well. You create tension. You revisit old dynamics. You lean toward people who keep things unstable. Because chaos is loud, and loud can drown things out. But if you slow down, really slow down, you start to notice it. The way calm makes you slightly uneasy. The way intensity grabs your attention faster. The way the same emotional patterns repeat, just with different faces. That's not coincidence. That's conditioning. And breaking that pattern isn't just about changing your circumstances. It's about changing what feels normal. And that's uncomfortable. Because choosing peace doesn't always feel like relief at first. Sometimes it feels empty, too quiet, like something's missing. And your system will try to fix that. You'll feel the urge to stir something up, to overthink, to reach for what you know will create movement. Because it's trying to return to its baseline. And this is where most people fall back, because familiar chaos feels easier than unfamiliar calm, even when it costs more. But if you stay with that discomfort, if you don't rush to fill the silence, something begins to shift, slowly. The quiet becomes less threatening. Your thoughts become clearer. Your reactions become easier to see. You stop living inside the pattern and start seeing it from the outside. And that changes everything, because once you see your role in the cycle, it stops feeling like something that just happens to you. You start making different choices, not because they feel better immediately, but because they lead somewhere different. You give stability a real chance. You stop confusing intensity with connection. You allow calm to exist without disrupting it. And over time, what once felt dull begins to feel steady. What once felt empty begins to feel peaceful. And the pull toward chaos, it weakens, not all at once. There will still be moments where it calls you back, where intensity looks appealing, where drama feels familiar. But now, you recognize it. You see it clearly. Not passion, not excitement, just a pattern, asking for another turn. And in that moment, you have a choice to follow it or to end it. Because maybe you were never drawn to chaos itself. Maybe you were drawn to what it kept you from feeling. And once you start facing that, chaos stops feeling necessary. It stops feeling like home. And what's left is something quieter. Not empty, not lifeless, just still. And that stillness is where something real finally has room to exist.